How's it going, peeps? It is now time for the Raw results / highlights and review video. I'll go over the results, some of the highlights of my opinion, and give you guys my thoughts, my review on the show. So it kicks off with the steel cage in the ring, and then John Cena comes out, and he talks about what happened last week, where he got put in a handicap match due to the WWE Universe voting him to be put in that handicap match against Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper, and Eric Rowan, when they also had the choice to just vote in Cena versus Luke Harper, or Eric Rowan and Luke Harper versus Cena. So he asks the fans why they did that. Is Bray Wyatt's message getting to them, this and that. And it's basically like Cena, asking why the fans turned on him or something like that, kind of. But, it wasn't a heel turn or anything like that. Because in the end he says, but despite, what goes on, good and bad, between him and the crowd, he always puts the WWE and the WWE Universe first. And he talks about the steel cage match and how if Bray Wyatt escapes the cage this Sunday, then his message just, escapes also and, spreads. So then the lights go off and the Bray Wyatt signal goes off or whatever. And you start hearing kids singing, "He's got the whole world in his hands." But you don't see a kid or any kids or anything. It's just all black. You just see Cena inside the ring. And then the lights come back on, and you see like an entire row of kids, like, I don't know, about 20 or more, singing "He's got the whole world in his hands." They're all wearing black. And then Bray Wyatt comes out, and he tells them to sing with him. So they sing with him, and then they change it up to "He's got the whole Cena Nation in his hands." And then Bray Wyatt also tells them to change it up to "He's got the little, what was it? The itty bitty babies," something like that, in his hands. And at the end, Bray Wyatt tells him to switch it up to "He's got the whole, what was it? He's got the big red monster." No, not the big red monster. That's Kane. The big monster, the big bad monster in his hands. I guess he's referring to the other side of Cena or something. And then they all surround the steel cage. And then Bray Wyatt sits down. Lights go out. Lights come back on. And then all the kids got, their sheep masks on. And then after that, Bray Wyatt has also a kid on his lap, and that kid is also wearing the sheep mask, and this Bray Wyatt is just laughing. That's his message is indeed spreading, and people are starting to believe what Bray Wyatt is saying. So after that, they show a replay of that, and then it was time for the first match of the night, which was for the tag team titles. It was the Usos defending their titles against Rybackaxel. They have a pretty back and forth match, and in the end, Curtis Axel and one of the Usos were the two legal men. But the legal Uso, Ryback tried to interfere in the matchup. He got in, and that Uso super kicked Ryback, but right before super kicking Ryback, he tagged in the other Uso who was on the apron. Curtis Axel, though, didn't see that. So then Curtis Axel hits the perfect plex on the Uso and bridges it into a pin. But now the legal Uso that Curtis Axel did not see get tagged in climbs up the top turnbuckle, hits the splash on Curtis Axel while he's bridging for the pin after the perfect plex, covers him, and gets the win. So the Usos retain their tag team titles. And then after that, backstage, you see Paul Heyman talking with Cesaro. They're talking about what Rob Van Dam said about Paul Heyman, how he's a liar, this and that. Paul Heyman says, yeah, I'm a liar, this and that, but I do take my clients to the top. And then Cesaro says that's all he needed to hear, and then he shakes Paul Heyman's hand. And then following that, it was Titus O'Neil or Sheamus versus somebody. You didn't know who it was, but then Titus O'Neil attacked him from behind, and then you kind of knew that Titus O'Neil was probably his opponent. And yeah, so he attacks him from behind during his entrance, right from the get-go, and then he puts Sheamus in the ring, attacks him some more. Referee asks Sheamus if he wants to, start the match. Of course, Sheamus, says yes. They start the match. Titus O'Neil attacks him a bit more in the corner, and then the referee backs Titus O'Neil, from the corner, so he doesn't get disqualified. At that slight distraction there, when Titus O'Neil goes back to attack Sheamus, Sheamus hits the brogue kick out of nowhere, covers Titus O'Neil, and wins the match. So despite Titus' efforts in getting the advantage by attacking Sheamus prior to the matchup, match lasted maybe a minute or less, and Sheamus won. Following that, Dolph Ziggler is on the microphone. He talks about Wolverine's new movie, the X-Men movie, and then he introduces Hugh Jackman, and then he brings up how Hugh Jackman, the last time he was there, he knocked Dolph Ziggler out or punched him, and but then he says, it's cool, they're cool now, and then eventually Damien Sandow interrupts dressed as Magneto. So they make fun of Damien Sandow for being dressed as Magneto. They make fun of his costume. He makes fun of Dolph Ziggler for being, starstruck because he's, in the ring with Hugh Jackman. Eventually, Damien Sandow tells Wolverine to, witness the power of magnetism, and then he pretends or, acts like he's, bringing the microphone, Hugh Jackman's microphone, towards him. And Jackman, plays along, pretending like it's working, but then he, throws the microphone onto Damien Sandow's chest, and then he hits him with a hip toss, and then once Damien Sandow gets up, Dolph Ziggler hits him with the Zig Zag, and that ends the segment. After that, Paul Heyman comes out to introduce Cesaro. He comes out to a few boos. I'm talking about Paul Heyman here. So he tells the crowd, you guys are taking this too seriously, back home I'm a father, and my kids think I'm funny. So then he tells a joke to the crowd to try and make them laugh. It was actually a good joke, I thought. He says, knock, knock, and then the crowd says, who's there? And then he says, Mike. And then they say, Mike who? So then he says, my client, Brock Lesnar, conquered the streak. And then he, he goes over how, Mike, client, get it? And anyways, eventually he introduces Cesaro. Cesaro comes out, and it's for a matchup against Jack Swagger. So it's Cesaro versus Swagger. And match really doesn't last long at all because Paul Heyman, at some point in the match, he goes behind Cesaro. Not Cesaro. Zeb Colter grabs his mustache and pulls on his mustache from both sides. And that distracts Swagger. I keep messing up here. And Cesaro takes advantage of that by hitting a German suplex and bridging it into a pin to get the 3 count and win the match. Afterwards, they had Cody Rhodes versus Del Rio. And they showed the replay of Raw where Cody pushed Goldust after the match last week after losing to the Usos. But they didn't show the replay though for SmackDown. Anyways, the match ends when Del Rio hits the super kick on Cody, follows that up right away with the cross arm breaker. After about 15 seconds or so, Cody taps out and Del Rio wins. After the match, Cody rolls out the ring. Goldust is right behind him, but Cody pushes him back once again and then just walks up the ramp. And then after that, it was Alexander Rusev versus Xavier Woods with R-Truth at ringside. And in under a minute, Alexander Rusev made sure to super athletic Xavier Woods. And R-Truth, Alexander Rusev, he put on the camel clutch. And before Xavier Woods could tap out, R-Truth interfered and kicked Rusev, and then Truth and Xavier Woods take out Rusev out of the ring, and then Lana tells Rusev not to go back in the ring. And then after that, Renee Young interviews Rob Van Dam about his match with Wade Barrett. And Rob Van Dam says, Wade Barrett usually is the bearer of bad news, but tonight, Rob Van Dam's going to be the one delivering the bad news to Wade Barrett when he beats Wade Barrett. He also mentions how he's a 6-time Intercontinental Champion, and that 7 is his lucky number. Zeb Colter comes up to him, and pretty much he offers Rob Van Dam to join the Real Americans or make an alliance with Zeb Colter to take out a common enemy in Paul Heyman. But Rob Van Dam tells Zeb Colter that he has a mind of his own and he's going to keep being Rob Van Dam, so pretty much he declines the offer. And then after that, it was the Los Matadores versus 3MB, and 3MB actually won the match. And before the match, they announced that at Extreme Rules, during the pre-show, it is going to be El Torito versus Hornswoggle in a WLC match. So I'm thinking it's a TLC match, but maybe with, shorter ladders or something like that. Well, we'll see. But anyways, after the match, Hornswoggle climbs up or gets on the apron and tries to do a running move and jump on top of the Los Matadores and El Torito, who were on the outside, but they just get out the way and he just falls down. So then El Torito gets in the ring while 3MB get outside the ring to check on Hornswoggle, and then El Torito climbs up the top turnbuckle and jumps onto 3MB successfully. So after that, Stephanie McMahon came out to apologize to Daniel Bryan for what happened last week, and she brings out Daniel Bryan, says her apology. Daniel Bryan doesn't buy it. He says, she's full of crap. Also, when Daniel Bryan came out, he was with Brie Bella. Brie was next to him, and eventually, she continues on to apologize, and Daniel Bryan says, "I still think you're full of crap." And then she says, "All right, to show you that I'm sorry," she puts Brie Bella in a Divas Championship match against Paige. And then Daniel Bryan tells Stephanie that, if you think I'm going to let Brie Bella walk down the ring on her own, you're crazy. And then Stephanie says, "No, it's okay, you can, be at ringside." And the match is right now. So the match starts, or actually Brie Bella's music hits, she goes down to the ring. And at that point, you see that Kane, because throughout the night, they showed Kane, or they showed like a case with Kane's mask in it to show that, hey, Kane's mask is not actually on Kane right now. It's in that casing. And they showed that a couple times throughout the night, I think twice. And then this time, though, when they showed the casing, the mask was no longer there. So then the match starts between Paige and Brie Bella. It doesn't last too long. It ends when Paige hits a superplex onto Brie Bella to the mat, and then they're both down. Well, of course, the mat. Anyways, they're both down, and then Kane's pyros go off, and Daniel Bryan gets right in front of the stage, waiting for Kane, and then you see a hole in the ring, so Kane pops out, and he grabs Brie Bella by the legs, trying to drag her in the hole. And then Daniel Bryan attacks Kane. He punches him a bunch of times, but Kane's still up. And he's still in the hole trying to drag Brie Bella in. So then Daniel Bryan is now under the ring grabbing something. So he grabs I didn't see it at first. It looked like Finlay's shillelagh or something like that. But it was actually a wrench. So he hits Kane with the wrench, which breaks Kane's hold on Brie Bella. And then Daniel Bryan tells Brie Bella to leave the ring, so she leaves. But then Kane gets up, he sits up, hits a choke slam on Daniel Bryan, and then Brie Bella gets back in the ring to check on Daniel Bryan. So once again, Kane starts to pull her back in the hole, but she kicks away, and then she gets out of the ring, and that was it for the segment. And then once they come back from commercial break, you see Brie Bella in the trainer's room along with Daniel Bryan. Trainer's looking at Daniel Bryan, seeing if he's alright. Stephanie comes in, she apologizes, she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, even if you don't believe me, this and that." And then eventually Brie Bella snaps and tells Stephanie, "Leave or get out of here, you bitch." And then Stephanie just leaves. And following that, Renee Young interviews John Cena, because before, a couple segments ago, she tried to interview John Cena, but Cena didn't respond, and he just left. This time, though, Cena's answering Renee's questions. He says, the reason why he just left and didn't say anything previously was because of what happened out there tonight, and that image bothered him. But anyways, he says that Extreme Rules, he's gonna have his fist in Bray Wyatt's face and his foot up Bray Wyatt's ass. And then we see I keep messing up. Bad News Barrett, he delivers some bad news. Talks about pretty much how Rob Van Dam is no longer relevant and how he's going to win the Intercontinental Championship. So then Rob Van Dam comes out for the matchup. It's RVD versus BNB. So as far as who won the match, Bad News Barrett won the match and won the tournament when Rob Van Dam had just taken out Wade Barrett with a kick. And then it looked like he was going to either go for the Rolling Senton, or Rolling Thunder, or the 5-star Frog Splash. But then he looks at the stage, and you see Cesaro. He's at ringside now, and he climbs up on the apron, and that distracts Rob Van Dam. But then Swagger pulls Cesaro off the apron, but then Cesaro takes Jack Swagger and throws him onto the barricade. And then back in the ring, Rob Van Dam climbs up the top turnbuckle, trying to go for the 5-star. But Cesaro climbs up on the apron once again. Rob Van Dam sees him though, so he kicks him off the apron. But that slight distraction, once again, that causes Wade Barrett, or allows Wade Barrett to get his knees up when RVD goes for the frog splash. And then right when Rob Van Dam gets back up, bullhammer, cover, Wade Barrett. I mean, I'm still not used to it. I keep saying Wade Barrett, but Bad News Barrett wins the match and is the new number 1 contender to the Intercontinental Championship. After the match, Cesaro gets back in the ring, attacks Rob Van Dam, and then Swagger gets back in the ring. He takes out Cesaro with a gut-wrench powerbomb, and then he tries to take out Rob Van Dam too, but Rob Van Dam hits him with a kick, and then he hits a frog splash from pretty far in the ring, because Swagger was like towards the end of the other side of the ring, and Rob Van Dam was like at the complete opposite turnbuckle. It was a pretty far distance, but he hit it. And, yeah, Rob Van Dam takes out Swagger. And then it was time for the main event, which was Roman Reigns versus Randy. Evolution came out first. They cut a promo on the Shield. Triple H talks about how the Shield took out, all these superstars on SmackDown. And he says the Shield reminds him of Evolution. And Batista says the problem is, Evolution is still here. So the Shield the Shield can't be the new Evolution. And once again, Triple H says you either adapt or perish, and he talks about the Shield. They can either adapt or perish at Extreme Rules, and then the Shield's music hits, they come out, and then Ric Flair's music hits, he comes out, and, Evolution's all happy, he hugs Randy, Triple H, Batista, talks about his times with the Four Horsemen, Evolution, talks about how today, he sees these superstars that exemplify power. And then he says, the superstars I'm talking about are the Shield. And then Evolution all of a sudden looks like, what? Did he just say that? And then that's all. Ric Flair just leaves. And, and he shook the hands of Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and Dean Ambrose. So he leaves, and then it's Roman Reigns versus Randy. And right from the get-go, I kind of expected the match not to be a long match, because it was already past 11 p.m. Eastern Time. So anyways, match, like I said, they didn't last too long. They hit some of their signature moves, like Reigns hit the dropkick when his opponents have their head sticking out of the ring. Randy hit his backbreaker. But eventually, Triple H tries to interfere. Shield doesn't like that, so Dean Ambrose jumps on Triple H, starts, hitting him with punches. Same with Seth Rollins. And then Reigns, inside the ring, he takes out Orton with a Superman punch. And he goes on the outside, attacking Triple H and Batista. And at that point, Triple H and Batista had kind of taken out Dean Ambrose. Triple H had thrown Dean Ambrose over the announcer's table, and Batista had thrown Seth Rollins onto the barricade. And from then on, Evolution is just beating up the Shield. They're beating up Roman Reigns, and they throw each and every one of them onto the steel post, and then they put the Shield back in the ring. And at that point, it looks like, Evolution is just gonna, they're gonna take out the Shield tonight. And you see Triple H preparing for the pedigree on, I believe it was either Dean Ambrose or Roman Reigns. I think it was Dean Ambrose, actually, yeah. It was Dean Ambrose. He was trying to go for the pedigree on Dean Ambrose. And I thought he was going to hit it, but out of nowhere, Seth Rollins comes in with a springboard knee to Triple H. And then from then, the Shield start picking up some momentum. They start beating up on Evolution. They take out Batista and Orton. And then Triple H is left in the ring. Reigns hits a spear on Triple H. And then it looks like they're going to go for the triple powerbomb. But Batista and Randy get back in the ring. But they take him out. And they get back in the ring with some steel chairs. But they take him out once again. And then the Shield stand tall in the ring with the steel chairs while Evolution retreats. So that ends the show. Evolution stands tall. Ric Flair kind of siding with the Shield. And Bad News Barrett being the new number 1 contender for the IC Championship. I was happy about that. I'd say that, for me, that was the highlight of the show, Bad News Barrett winning the tournament. Although, once I saw it was going to be, Bad News Barrett and Rob Van Dam, or actually just once I saw Cesaro was not going to win the tournament, it was pretty certain that, Bad News Barrett was going to win it. And also, I really like the ending to the tag team match. It's always a highlight, I feel, whenever the Usos have a tag team match. I always look forward to seeing what they're gonna come up with for the ending of the match, because I find every single one of the Usos matches, their tag team matches, have like some of the best endings. I really like this one where, you know, Curtis Axel didn't see the tag and then he hits a perfect plex on the Uso, bridges it into a pin, and the other Uso at the same time jumps from the top turnbuckle with the splash on Axel for the pin. Pretty cool ending. And yeah, so I'd say that was a highlight for me. Like I said, Bad News Barrett winning the tournament match. And now it seems like we might get a triple threat at Extreme Rules between Cesaro, Swagger, and Rob Van Dam. It wasn't announced on the show or anything, but I wouldn't be surprised if it gets announced maybe on Main Event, SmackDown, or something like that. Also, it's cool to see the Monster came back. They've done, you know, the whole Kane coming out of the ring thing before. And something I thought was dumb this time was Brie Bella once again getting back in the ring after she was just, you know, trying to get out of the ring and trying to get out of Kane's way. She goes back in the ring, and once again Kane, you know, is trying to drag her back. But yeah, good show overall. I'd give it like a 7.5, I'd say, on 10. And I think Ric Flair is going to be playing a part possibly in the 6-man tag team match against the Shield. Or, not against, because he's not in the match, but the 6-man tag team match, I mean, between the Shield and Evolution. So, I think that's pretty much it. I think I've said pretty much all I've got to say. And with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, as always, you can click that like button down below. I'd really appreciate it. And with that said, I'm out, guys. See ya.